Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Richard Lewis Show. It has been a hot minute since we did an episode. Lots going on. You will see, first of all, that we've got a very different-looking thing. I'm sure a lot of you were expecting people out there that we were going to be in the studio by now. Hasn't quite been like that, has it, Sam? It's been taking a while.
Not quite. Lot of shit to build, lot of technology to fucking conquer and figure out, mate.
Yeah.
People forget, not actually producer, like, I'm just a Welsh mess who decided to do this for a living. I got to read all these fucking instructions.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, what we've been working on is, you know, putting an actual studio together in my house in the spare room over there. So we've had to build like a massive conference table with a big hole in the middle for all the electrical cabling that comes out. We had to buy a sound mixer. Immediately, people are like, "Wow, sound sounds pretty good."
Yeah, I actually have a microphone now, an actual microphone going into a mixer instead of just a headset. Who would have known that makes it sound good?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost as if this was
every
something.
Bottle slurp.
Yeah, indeed. So we've got a mixer now. We went out and bought a big mixer, and we got two of the Shure microphones. Sam's over there in my living room. I'm over here. He didn't want to go on cam today. I thought we were going to do it like some cool
it's just
Google.
Get on it. It would ruin the whole thing if we're like, oh yeah, we're going to do cameras, we're going to have a 6-7, and then it's just me in a chair. We'll wait. Yeah. We'll wait for the fucking grand prestige.
Yeah, and so that's going on. We're putting some artwork on the walls at the moment. What else have we been doing? I got a green screen. We got rid of the overlay as well. I think the overlay was like, it's not that it was a bad overlay. Like, I'm super grateful to the guy who made it. It's just kind of anachronistic, isn't it? In this sort of like podcasting landscape,
sportsy to have overlays.
Yeah. And you know, I don't know if people know this, but I want to get away from that shit. Like, I want to, you know, sponsors everywhere, and big fucking chunky, bollocks to that. That's something for esports past, and you know, I want to move on and do something a little bit cooler. And obviously, as well, outside of building the studio, I've been working on basically making PUBG a broadcastable esport for everyone to enjoy, which I've been doing now with the World Series of, World Showdown of Esports. And we had our first event, and you were out here while we were doing the first event, and it went over pretty well, actually.
I watched a little bit of it from back here, but seemed to go well.
Yeah, it did. I mean, you know, we worked with a lot of cool people at the company, you know, some good observers that we brought in, and good admins and stuff. So yeah, I was pretty pleased with it. I went out and celebrated. I had like a surreal moment where on the last night I was getting absolutely smashed in the Aria, and I was drinking with Trick2G, which was one of the one off the bucket list.
Straight drop.
And I was pretty fucked up when I got back.
Yeah, when he got back. Richard said that night, the funny thing was, like, what time do you reckon to be back? Because I went out that night as well. I went to see, like, a mate who was in Vegas because World Series of Poker was on. And he said, oh, yeah, I'll be back about 10. I was like, right, say if we come back, we'll do whatever we were doing that night, play a board game, whatever. Got back, I was like, 12? Ooh, he's weird, he's not back. He was like, that's weird. 1 a.m. Strange. He thought he's coming back 10. He must have given you carts of drinks. Comes in at, like, 1:30, 2. Like, literally heaving all the shit you had, like a bag you could barely carry, holding like above your head. And the only thing you said, you just walked past, you went, straight to bed, straight to bed. As soon as you come through the door, straight to bed. So that's what we've just been doing last week now. Every time something happens, straight to bed.
Yeah, it was a straight to bed moment. No, I mean, like, it wasn't even that I was that fucking drunk. I was absolutely fucking exhausted because there was just so much fucking work that went into it. I barely slept all that week, and I was just like, few drinks straight to the brain. I had to keep getting cups of coffee between drinking. That's how fucked up it was. Like, just to stay upright. I didn't want to be rude on the last night. You know, I'm meeting all these people for the first time. You know,
drinking Red Bull in your drinks, mate.
I don't drink Red Bull.
Sugary shit, yeah, but you do when you're tired, surely.
No, I don't. Coffee only for me. I don't like energy drinks.
Sipping on gin and coffee.
I know you hate it when I say this because you can feel the little bags of money just fucking fly out the window. But I don't like energy drinks. I don't think they're good for people.
But we can be convinced otherwise if a superior product was to be brought onto the market.
No, not me, mate.
Yeah.
Not me.
Unless it's
you
good.
can sponsor the energy drink if
Unless
you
it's
want.
good.
I think they're fucking garbage. You know?
So
I think that. All right. Well. So anyway, should we get on with the show?
Go for it.
I have planned a show out. I've been planning it all day. I wanted to make it like a good one, you know, like with structure, and you know, like there's a through line through all of the topics, right?
Right.
But I did want to start with just some funny shit, right? Like I just saw on the internet, just to ease in, because we've not done it for a while. It's kind of like when you know, you get back from a long distance relationship. You know, you've been away in the army or whatever. You know.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of weird. Yeah.
Great analogy.
Yeah, it's
like when you come back from the war. This story, can't wait.
Yeah. So, all right. First thing I saw, and I don't know why anyone would want these, but there's a toy out there, right? Called Grow Babies.
Right.
Okay. And what they are, here's the first picture. This guy tweeted it out. And basically what they are is, they're like, it's an egg, and it's got something, and you put the egg into a jar of water, and like those dinosaurs, right?
Oh, yeah. I've seen those.
Yeah, it erupts out, right?
Bro,
now,
why are babies coming out of eggs, bro?
Yeah, it's weird to begin with. But yeah, so that you can see here, this is Iguana Mouth was the account that tweeted out saying he found one in Goodwill, and there was no picture of like what would come out of the egg on the box.
Some mad fucking gremlin, this isn't it, mate?
You
mad,
ain't ready.
Don't feed it after midnight kind of shit.
You ain't ready. You are not ready.
Fucking hit me with it.
Hey, well, hang on. There's a whole process, obviously.
Fucking hell.
Right, so
he kept us updated.
He kept us updated. So he was soaking it in water, and 9 hours in, you can see this. The egg finally starts to crack, and you know, people are like, "What if it's really not a baby and it's a turd?" Which,
good one.
Yeah. Terrible joke, but the more you think, it kind of would be hilarious if someone had somehow found a way to like do a turd inside of a, you know, fucking
and give
dissolving
it
egg, and then put it in for Goodwill. I'd almost be all right with that. I'd be like, well played, sir. Well played. So anyway, it took 9 hours for cracking the egg, and then now we're starting to get to it, mate. Like, just fucking what is happening here? Like,
what is that, what?
Like 23 hours later, and something's just coming out.
Sack, but
well, it looks like something you would have removed from your lung.
Oh, it looks like a piece of popcorn chicken. Actually, it's got old. It's a piece of popcorn chicken in there.
I would advertise popcorn chicken before I advertised energy drinks.
Popcorn chicken's bagging.
Okay, but here you go. Right, this is now. Get ready, mate. The finished baby. Okay, right. This is what it fucking spawns into.
Oh, it's just like some mad sponge or something.
Yeah, look at the fucking state. You can't give that to kids.
My child.
You can't give this to kids.
Why is it mad like Buddha? What's the stance it's got on? It's got the fucking pose, the like meditation pose.
Cracking pair of norks on it as well. Like, yeah, not on, is it really?
Why is his nose the same size as his hand as well, but
it looks like
reasonable.
It looks like Babe Ruth.
Don Rickles back from the dead.
Don Rickles is in the house. So that gave me a chuckle.
Absolute
I won't
unit,
lie.
mate.
Yeah. Then slightly less funny, I suppose, if you think about it. Not funny at all, but sort of funny. It's hard not to laugh.
intro just played again because I changed back. No, there we go. That's one technical difficulty, man.
Right, there's a technical issue. Well done. Well done.
That's fixed for next time.
Great work.
Right. People love the intro, man.
I know you saw this story because you linked me to it.
I did too.
So we're always talking about like Florida is a fucking shambles. Like, I mean, let's just be real about it.
It's always
I love America, right? Like, it's very clear now. America's my home.
Land of
Consider myself like, yeah, exactly. And I love it out here, but Florida's a mess. Like, Florida is a fucking mess. Like, there's just something happened down there, and I don't think it can be fixed. I think it's irreparably broken, honestly. And I don't know how so many crazy people have all ended up in the same place.
Yeah, I can't.
But it happened.
I remember I read the theory is because like obviously Miami was a drug capital, so there was a lot of drugs in and out of Florida. Therefore, a lot of people got addicted to drugs, which leads to like poverty and shit. But I don't know, mate. Maybe it's just something in the water around there, mate, because it can't keep happening.
Yeah, alligators.
Yeah. Fucking Escobar's long dead, mate, and y'all are still losing the mind every fucking weekend.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, that theory. But like this story was just one of those ones you just look at the headline and you know immediately. Like, even if it didn't have the word Miami in it, you would just know immediately. Like, yeah, that's a Florida thing. So this is a story here: Miami man with no arms charged with stabbing Chicago tourist. So many questions, Sam. many questions.
I'm just saying, maybe the U.S. military could put to use his skills instead of incarcerating him.
Krav Maga.
Put him
obviously.
to work, yeah, mate. Give him a set of blades and send him in.
Well,
imagine if you give him prosthetic arms, mate. This is what he's doing with no arms. Imagine if he had arms.
Yeah. So are you able to bring it up?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
All right, good. Yeah, do it, because I want people to see what the guy looks like, because he does look a little bit like Mike from Breaking Bad, I think. Do you not see that?
Nah.
You don't see that. He does look hard as fuck.
He's doing the full De Niro pose. He's like, "You talking to me? You talking to me?" He's pulling his shit in himself.
No, but like, he does. Right, you know when you look at someone and you think, you can tell he's a hard bastard. yeah, you can tell he's an hard bastard. Like, obviously, if you're homeless,
say he's an hard bastard. I say he's a mental bastard, mate.
Mate, he's 46 years old and he's homeless and he's got no arms. I imagine you have to be able to look after yourself.
Some shit, yeah.
Yeah. I reckon this motherfucker can kick someone's head off.
How do you lose the arms, though?
It doesn't say. It doesn't tell.
Well, that's a much-needed fact, no, mate. What do you mean? We gotta know how he lost his arms.
Right, but okay, just right, just listen. Right. So apparently, they are saying in this news report that the armless man only reacted to being kicked in the head.
Oh.
Right. So
he got kicked in the head first.
Yeah, just hang on, right? Like, this is according to him. I'm just saying. It says here, according to the arrest report, Crenshaw says he was lying down when the victim, a 22-year-old Cesar Coronado, approached him and kicked him in the head. Like, if that is true, I am gonna say unreasonable behavior, very unreasonable behavior.
Fuck with the wrong one. That's all they knew.
Yeah, he absolutely did fuck with the wrong one. This is what I mean. This is like, he's a hard bastard. Then, apparently, he stabbed him twice with a pair of scissors. Again, I don't know how he did it.
Has this article got a picture of him doing it?
No.
Because there is a picture that I found of him, like, I don't know if he's got the fucking scissors equipped, like, but there is a picture
well, like,
of him
on his feet, or, like, well, he doesn't even have elbows, does he?
What?
Alright. Fucking hell, he's really got no arms.
Zero arm, but he's got a little stump. He's got a chicken wing.
Oh, no, he's got a chicken wing.
He has got a chicken wing.
What are we doing? I can't even say timestamp it. It's
do you
not
know
by
what's
the
even
number.
more mental, mate? Do you know he actually does look like no meme, not even trying to be a cunt, but no scary movie, but when he goes, take my strong arm, he actually does look like that guy, but...
Nah, he's got a touch of Rafa Benitez there, if you
Oh,
ask
yeah,
me.
it's a bit not far off.
Well, like,
Jose with a bit of a bigger forehead.
He definitely fucked with the wrong one, like. Definitely fucked
Mate,
with
he
the wrong
gripped fucking Sis Huzzle's feet, stabbed twice, then put him back in his waistline. Man, the fastest draw in the West, mate.
one. Mate, I'd love to get this guy on the show. Like, talk to him.
As long as he's not within fucking
Because here's the thing as well, like, he's a street artist. He paints and draws pictures with his feet. Guy's got talent, you know?
I reckon this guy probably did kick me in the head then. If he's a known artist, why would he just start stabbing people up, mate? You would have done
it makes
before.
no sense. I mean, he could just be out of his mind.
Oh yeah, it could.
You can't rule that out. Yeah. So, but fair play to him. Like I say, if the version of events that he told the police is accurate, I'm all right with it, me.
Fair fucks.
You shouldn't stab people, but if you're a man with no arms and you get kicked in the head,
yeah. Especially you know what I mean? People with no arms. Like, come on, that's even more
that's
egregious.
Double unreasonable, isn't it? That's beyond unreasonable. Right, and then there was one other thing, and this is more just like it's stupid, but not in a good way, kind of like just in a depressing way, which is basically going to kind of set the tone of the show, honestly. I literally couldn't believe that this was a real story. It's beyond a joke. So there was a story circulating. Now, obviously, we've talked a lot on the show about police and that, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, and we've highlighted some instances of police brutality, which are completely indefensible in our opinion. You know, I understand that the vast majority of police are probably good guys that, you know, want to help their community, whatever you want to say about it. But unfortunately, there is a notable cross-section that definitely like abusing their power, definitely are running around out of their motherfucking minds, treating civilians like they're, you know, soldiers in a war zone. And, yeah, you know, I look, when I hear about police getting suspended or fired, I look at it, I want to know what they've done, because I also think as well, there's definitely a circle of protection that comes together to stop a lot of police officers that do ridiculous things like, you know, shooting unarmed civilians, you know, and all sorts of nonsense like that. It does seem that you very rarely see them ever held accountable. So somebody linked me to this story and said that there were some police officers in Alabama that had been suspended. So immediately that piques my interest. 4 police officers in Alabama, what did they do? Well, they got suspended because they had a group photo taken of them, and they were playing the circle game. Do you know what the circle game is?
The circle like below your waist. Yeah. Yes, I haven't even seen the story. I assume it's because of the fucking fake white power shit that people made up on 4chan.
Yeah. So basically, they were doing this upside down, which doesn't even make sense within the context of the 4chan thing. Upside down circle. And what the circle game is, for those who don't know, it's a stupid game. But basically, you sort of hold a circle somewhere on your body, which isn't obvious. And then if somebody sees it, I think, well, I mean, the way we used to do it was you get to kick them in the balls. Is that right?
We did one punch in the arm or something like that.
One punch in the arm, right. So that's the circle game. Now, you'll find a lot of that juvenile type shit just out there, you know, it's in like, you know, to build camaraderie in like groups of guys. It just happens, right? It's an observable phenomenon. Well, all of these police officers were suspended for doing it in a photo. And here's why. The mayor that suspended them, David O'Meary, said that it was because some people say that symbol is racist and means white power. That was it. It doesn't even make sense.
Some people say.
Yeah. Some people say.
Some people say sunlight gives you cancer and you should never leave your house. Don't mean it's fucking true.
Yeah. Yeah, some people say, mate. Some people say that it's racist. Yeah, we call those people fucking deranged cunts. That's what we call them. They're out of their fucking mind. It was a hoax. These people fell for the hoax. It's like, why would you listen to these people? Like, it's all provable, demonstrable that it was a hoax designed to trick people. The people that started spreading it, journalist types, you know, liberal bloggers, bought it hook, line, and sinker, and it's since been discredited. But some people still believe that it means white power because they keep getting trolled by people doing it. And this isn't even that. It's not even the same thing, but that's enough these days for you to lose your job. Some people say it might be a white power. That's what I mean. And this is going to be the tone of the show. There is a method to the madness of all the stories we're going to cover. This is basically how it is now. People can just say any old shit, and that becomes fact. Like, I remember when I first started hearing this whole post-fact era nonsense. It was when butthurt journalists started getting upset that we weren't being good little docile fucks listening to everything they say and hanging on their every word and fucking believing it. Like, just like it was gospel, like, you know, the word of God itself. If it's in the media, it must be true. And this is because the media have eroded that fundamental trust over decades. It's not a recent thing. It's hit new depths. But journalists have been lying and manipulating their readership, their audience, for years, for decades, and doing it for political ends. We all know that there was a point in history where newspapers just said, we are the paper of the Tories, you know, we're a Republican publication. People just started saying, yeah, actually, yeah, look, as long as we make our bias known, it's okay to be biased. And everybody went, oh, well, yeah, suppose that's better than the alternative. And, you know, people who criticize the media now, it's like you get told that, like, oh, if you hate the media, you hate a free press, you're a fascist. Like, no, I mean, it's just an embarrassment. It's just a disgrace. It's just so far removed from what the media is supposed to be. Obviously, people are sick of it. But they use this term, post-fact era, to basically say that with, you know, alternative blogs and civilian journalists and provocateurs and social media, that facts didn't matter anymore. All of a sudden, in 2016, it didn't matter anymore. We've been in a post-fact era for a long time, actually. And it's a very astute phrase, because what I've noticed more and more is the truth is irrelevant. The truth is completely irrelevant. What is relevant is how many journalists can you assemble to write the same version of the lie and preserve that lie in history forever. That's what's important. In the same way that, you know, we've all got to pretend Pepe the Frog is really a hate symbol. People still tweet that at me today. Big fan of your work, Richard, but just saw your YouTube video where you say Pepe's not a hate symbol and can no longer support your racist ways. It's a cartoon frog. It's not a hate symbol. It's never been a hate symbol. And if you believe that it's a hate symbol, you have bought into the lie. You have bought into the lie, and it's a very insidious lie, because what it says is that if a small radical group co-opts something, it doesn't matter what the other 99.999 recurring percent of us are doing, it immediately becomes bad. I would urge you, go out there, take the Overwatch symbol, right, and do something, you know, unacceptable with it. Sort of manipulate it into a swastika-like symbol. Start using it in that context. Are Blizzard going to suddenly ban the symbol of their own product? I mean, apparently, yes. Yes, we would have to. That is literally how it works. This was a cartoon frog that was around for years to symbolize feeling good or feeling bad, which last time I checked, that type of human emotion is not just the preserve of fascists. It's something we can all relate to. But what happened was, and I've talked about this, and people who watch my show should know this to be true, that the Hillary Clinton tried to seize, the DNC tried to seize upon Donald Trump's son tweeting out the deplorables, and it had a picture of a Pepe in it. And because it had a picture of a Pepe, they immediately wrote an article on on Hillary Clinton's own website saying that, oh, it's racist. It's a white supremacist symbol. All right? And here's the madness. Because of that, everybody had, oh shit, like, we don't want Trump to win. She's off a rocker. She's crazy. Oh, God, no. Do we have to pretend? Do we have to pretend? I guess we do, don't we? And they did. And then the fucking, Anti-Defamation League got pressured into pretending it was a hate symbol. They had to put it on their own official website. Why? Because they get their funding from fucking government groups and DNC supporters. So they get told, like, if you still want the money, you better pretend this cartoon frog is as bad as a swastika too. So they have to do it. So they did it. And even when they did it, they it's important that you look at the context of the meme. And everyone went, yeah, but we ignore that bit now because we've got him. We've got Donald Trump's son, banker rights. Look, we have revised history. We've done it. We've completely revised history. We've gone back 10 years to say this cartoon frog is a hate symbol only used by white supremacists. And now we've just got to pretend that's it. We just got to pretend that's it. Now, what's interesting is that original article that sparked it all, Hillary Clinton deleted that. Their campaign deleted it. They're embarrassed by it. We've all seen the meme, crazy woman yells at frog. But this is the era we live in. It is post-facts. And I see so many obvious provable lies. I've had to go through this a lot lately. I mean, another reason I haven't been doing the show so much, I am trying to dedicate a portion of my time to looking at these people that are trying to make out that my dead friend John, total biscuit to you guys, was a serial harasser. And he wasn't. And he decried harassment. And I'm watching journalists harass his widow for comment on lies, demonstrable lies. But it doesn't matter because there'll be another one to write the lie, and another one to write the lie, and another one to write the lie. And it is post-fact. We'll get to those fuckers. We'll get to those. Right? They will get got to. Like, there's no doubt about it, because I'll tell you, what you'll learn from the rest of this show is you have skeletons in your closet too. If you want to go and rattle people's fucking closets and see what bones fall out, and then you want to go, oh, look at the bones, this person was evil because of the bones, and then you also want to fucking rearrange the bones and look like you take away a rib or two, but maybe this was a small child, a child murderer. You want to do all this crazy, freaky shit and just take facts completely out of context and ignore facts that do not suit the argument you're trying to make. As a journalist, being printed by reputable publications like Forbes and every other journalist, which, by the way, if you call yourself a journalist and you see an article full of provable lies coming out in the same publication as you, going out in any publication, you as a journalist should be coming out and going, that person does not represent me. It does not represent us. It does not represent the craft of journalism. But they don't do that, do they? They go, oh, you're attacking journalists. Why? You hate us. You're eating up. Wait a minute, right? Are you saying you're the same as them? I'm not attacking journalists. I'm attacking the dishonest journalists. I'm attacking the liars. Right? Oh, yeah, but you're attacking us. I don't stand with those people. They have nothing in common with me. So why the fuck would you want to stand with them? It's this little pathetic victimhood pity party. But as I said, as you'll find out when we go through this show, everyone's got skeletons in their closet. And if you create an environment where, A, you are going to publish lies about people after they've died or maybe while they're still alive, but just you do it so universally, they're effectively deplatformed and can't defend themselves. Or if you want to actually dig up legitimate skeletons from way, way back, frame them in a newer context. I mean, come on, man. The black and white minstrel show used to be on the fucking BBC. Should we just shut down the station? You know, no, it's not fucking cool. No one thinks it's cool. No one thinks any of that shit is cool or acceptable in a modern context. But you also cannot pretend it didn't fucking happen. And you can't just quickly penalize people based on today's moral barometer for things that happened at a time when it was culturally, for whatever reason, acceptable to do it. And again, it doesn't mean I like it. Doesn't mean I put it on going, bloody big bunch of crybabies. No, thank fuck we've evolved as a society into a position where we can actually, you know, put things like that to one side and leave that rotten bullshit in the past where it belongs. But the reality is, you can't just dredge up people's past. Like, what's the statute of limitations? No one cares anymore. There is no statute of limitations. It's if we can find anything, it doesn't matter how many times you've apologized or paid the price or paid the penance, you will pay again and again and again and again to appease this mob. Now, interestingly enough, it wasn't right-wing conservative types that started this trend, but they do it. It's why I loathe both groups, because they're as bad as each other. You see it all the time. Left-wing crybabies say, oh, look, he made a joke and it was slightly edgy. His dog's doing a Nazi salute. Ban him. He's really a Nazi for training a pug to do a Nazi salute. These absurd positions. And the right-wing go, what about free speech, though, eh? And people like me, this is the point where people like me go, you know what? Say what you will about the right wing. I've never traditionally been right wing, but the right wing's actually right on this. So I'll go and stand next to those guys, and you shuffle up next to them. And then the next day, it's fucking the guys you've just shuffled next to. Hey guys, yeah, good policy on the free speech thing. Wait, what are you guys doing a day? Oh, we're going through their Twitters and finding shit they said. Let's use their rules against them. No, wait, that's not the point. Like, you take the moral high ground on an issue. Nah, look, he made a joke about pedophilia 10 years ago. Let's get him. Okay, yeah, I understand logical consistency, but if you guys do this, you're as bad as them, and we don't advance the topic, we just make it doubly worse. There's now no refuge for anybody. That's what we live in. That's what's going on. You can't stand with any group on this. So, right, let's start the show. That was all a preface. I'm going to do something I rarely do on this show. I'm going to talk about video games, okay? We don't often talk about video games here. I mean, we do on occasion. But just to sort of gently ease into this topic, because we know that probably the most demonstrably corrupt subsection of journalism is games journalism. It is one that has been as rotten to the core for as long as I can remember it, where, you know, whether it's taking games and you know, not games, I suppose, but like taking merchandise and access in exchange for more favorable reviews, editors altering reviews based on developer feedback that they've cozied up to, whether it's cronyism and not declaring financial ties, whatever it is, it's been around for a long, long time. It was around before Gamergate, which also seems to be, it's like the Vietnam War to these games journalists. They never shut the fuck up about it. Everyone else has moved on. But they can't let it lie. They can't let it lie. That they were called out on their shit. They tried to push back. They failed. They lost. Every time they try and go against the consumers in the medium they peddle, they lose, because that's how consumer power works. You fucknuts. The best thing you could have done 3 years ago would have been take the L and just stop talking about it, but you keep bringing it up and you look like fucking morons every time. But No Man's Sky has come back. Now, my views on No Man's Sky are very clear. I did multiple videos on No Man's Sky. I think No Man's Sky is a disgrace. I think what happened there is an absolute disgrace. There's no other way to describe it. It is one of the greatest cons ever pulled on the gaming community as consumers. Absolutely. There have been others, but it is outrageous. The game that was promised in the build-up repeatedly bore no resemblance to the finished product. This was not billed as a kind of early access game, a game that was going to get multiple DLCs to sort of make it complete. This was billed as a full budget $60. It's still $60 now. It's fucking over 2 years. A $60 game, right? That's what you had to pay. Pre-order, by the way. And it was fucking garbage on release. Utter garbage. I mean, let's just overlook for a moment that the content in the game bore no resemblance to what was advertised. There are still elements used in that disgusting trailer which aren't in the game now. We still haven't found the sandworms, have we? Has anyone found them yet? I don't think so. I do want someone to tell me when we do. I'm really...
I've never followed that game. After we saw how much of a mess it was. That was it. That was all I saw on it.
Yeah. It's absolute nonsense. You know, and they kept hyping it up.
Is there still more multiplayer as well?
Well, this is the thing. They've just finally added it. Can you believe it?
Right.
It took this long. It took this fucking long, right? They announced something that they're calling Next, right? But here's the thing, right? There is legitimate criticism to be aimed, a very legitimate criticism. In fact, I would say the only stance you could adopt when talking about No Man's Sky is to be critical of how they marketed the game, because they lied repeatedly, remorselessly, even to the point where when Sean Murray famously answered a question about, you know, would people ever be able to meet in the universe? He said, it's possible, but the universe is so big, it would probably never happen. That's what he said. The game is so vast and almost infinite, it would probably never happen. And then we fast forward to day one of release, about 7 hours in, 2 people did it, and they were like, wait, we can't see each other. And this is after, again, Sean Murray had explicitly said you would be able to see each other in the game, and that would be the only way you would be able to see what you looked like. But they couldn't see each other. And Sean Murray was going, wow, it's blown my mind. It's blown my mind. I guess the servers are broken or something. Then they had to admit that feature was never in the game, and they'd just been lying the entire time. Yeah, just lies. Now, there is only one stance to take on that, right? They lied to their customers. And we all know how games work when you buy them through Steam. Once you play for a bit, you can't refund them. And it's not as if Sony or Hello Games ever turned around and said, right, we lied to our fucking teeth, so now we're going to have a much broader refund policy. No. Absolutely, they didn't do any of this. They never atoned for all the lies that they told. It's a disgrace. But they're back now, right? Because now they're finally updating the game. It still looks fuck all like what they promised. There still isn't any of the features that they promised. But they did put multiplayer in. Okay, in this next patch, and they put this like a message to the community out. Okay, and again, it's from Sean Murray. Right now, I'll just read you some of this, and when we tie this to the new media hit, because Sean Murray's been like, you know, probably spending all the money he made through telling lies, but he's actually been very quiet. He hasn't talked to the media. He actually, in all of these interviews, he goes, I don't really like talking to the media. What drugs have you been taking, Sean? Because every time I was like trying to follow the development of No Man's Sky, you were there panhandling, you know, fucking doing a little dance. Come and get my game. It's the best. Like, you definitely like talking to the media, you soy boy cunt. You fucking couldn't get enough of it. He's got the nerve to pretend he's like a shy, retiring guy rather than a snake oil salesman. I can't believe it. And again, he's working with the media to peddle this lie, the post-fact era. Nobody calls him on that. When he says it in the interviews, as you'll see, nobody says, wait, for somebody that doesn't like talking to the media, you really did a lot of talking to the fucking media. Endlessly, almost. But anyway, a message to the community. We always wanted No Man's Sky to grow and develop after it released. I'm happy we've been able to do that. I'm so proud of the team at Hello Games. What they did was incredible. Over the years of development, the average team size was 6. The final team was just 15 people at launch. No Man's Sky has grown to be a very broad game, ambitious, technically unique, and very pretty at times, all the more impressive for a team that is still small. I mean, again, this is a massive over-aggrandizement of what the game actually is. It's basically some piss-weak version of Minecraft where you break down in minerals in-game to build items that enable you to break down the same minerals faster. That's the game. That's the gameplay loop. It's awful. It's boring. Whilst I couldn't be prouder of the team, I personally made mistakes. And you're like, oh, this will be an interesting confessional. Come on, Sean, are you ready now with all the millions you pocketed to admit you lied? I could talk all day about things I personally would change. Please do. We'd love to hear it. Certainly one regret is that the intensity and drama of launch left no room for communication with the community. That's weird. Seems to me that there was plenty of room to communicate with the community, because after the game was released, you were still publicly lying about what the game could and couldn't do. We decided instead to focus on development rather than words. I mean, it seems to me that what you really mean here is that you realized that your position was indefensible, so you stopped trying to defend it and tried to salvage what was one of the most embarrassing games launches of all time. And then it just says, thanks for playing No Man's Sky. We hope you'll enjoy everything that's still to come. That's basically the summary of it. That is the sole acknowledgement of a hype campaign driven by this guy. Lies, lies, lies. So I'm like, all right, okay, well, listen. The media will call him out, Sam. The media.
Rely on the media.
You can always rely on the media. I mean, the lies. I mean, even Reddit commenters went out there and found like all the things they lied about, collated them. So journalists could do that, right? And he's going to get tore apart as he does this new wave of media. But no, he doesn't. I mean, I think it shouldn't come as a surprise that The Guardian went to bat for this guy. Let's be clear. I'm not big on that whole, you know, it is a fucking meme. Oh, gamers are such an oppressed class. Like, no. There are a bunch of entitled arseholes in game. You know, I work in gaming, you know, primarily to make my living. I come across some of the most entitled bullshit on a regular basis, and I always call it out. I know it exists, but there is a world of difference between being angry that you've spent 60 of your hard-earned dollars on a game that bears no resemblance to what you were promised, you know, to, it's good, but it's not that good. Fuck you, Sean Murray. It's not even comparable. So The Guardian went to bat for him. This isn't a surprise. Back when all of this nonsense was going on, and it was very clear if you bought the original No Man's Sky, you'd been sold a lemon. The Guardian actually put an article out called No Man's Sky and the Perils of Infinite Promise, where they were basically saying that the outrage wasn't about the fact that these people had been lied to. It was actually because they all had sad, awful lives. Literally, that is exactly what the article said. I know,
thanks for the money, you shit awful life having guns.
Right, here it is. It's there in the it talks about how they were a target for harassment. And again, I am not justifying harassment, but what I have realized is people really like to conflate harassment and unreasonable behavior with valid criticism. It's the post-fact era. It's all the same, isn't it? Like, if you say to Sean Murray, you lied to me, I will never buy your games again, that's not the same as saying, Sean Murray, if I ever see you, I will choke you to death with one of your checky shirts. That isn't the same thing. That isn't the same thing at all. One is unreasonable and has no place in civilized discussion, and the other is a perfectly valid response to being ripped off. Okay? So look, here's the last paragraph. Video games are expensive, which goes some way to explain the indignation. But at a deeper level, the tantrums are not about absent features, 100% are, so much as a game that came to represent limitless escapism from all the grubby problems of existence. The rent bills, the food budgets, the school bullies. Do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't what's got the heart-wearying ennui, and that came up short. It was as if we're honest only to be expected. So in other words, the Guardian stance immediately, just to kind of align themselves with somebody that I would suspect embodies a lot of their politics, and of course, you always have to go against the gamers are, rather, you have to go with the gamers are always evil narrative. You always have to do that. Gamers are evil if you're a mainstream publication. Gamers are the school shooters. Gamers play the rape simulators. Gamers play the terrorist training simulators. Gamers are more likely to be violent. Gamers are misogynists. Gamers are neo-Nazis. Gamers voted for Trump. So obviously you have to adopt the fucking anti-gamer stance, right? But they are literally saying there, you as a consumer, if you feel you were ripped off, and you were, you're not really complaining about wasting $60 on a product that was subpar for what you were promised. You're really doing it because you get bullied at school. I can't think of anything more condescending and patronizing. So I don't know what I expected when this modern, this is like 4 days ago, when Sean Murray starts doing the round again to do the whole snake oil salesman bullshit. I had no idea. This is pretty much the article I expected. They focus on the harassment angle. And listen, again, yes, death threats are bad. I've had many a death threat myself. But here they go. They're talking constantly about the attacks that they received. And at no point do they say some of these attacks were perfectly valid. some of this criticism was perfectly valid.
That one actually, but fair play.
Yeah, look. The press didn't attack Hello Games when No Man's Sky turned out to be a different game than the one some players had expected. I mean, that isn't what happened. What happened was the game turned out to be a different one to what Hello Games had told people they were going to get. That trailer they showed at E3 still bears no resemblance to the finished game. And they make jokes about it in this, and other reports I'm going to show you, saying, oh, because there's no butterflies in the game, people are still angry about that. Well, it just shows you faked footage to sell something. You're a con artist. That's it. And end of discussion. It says here, this is Sean Murray, the internet is really good at knowing when somebody has made a mistake. It's not necessarily the best at determining the most appropriate response, but it's really good at knowing when somebody has messed something up. We definitely messed up a whole bunch of communication. I've never liked talking to the press. I didn't enjoy it when I had to do it. And when I did it, I was naive and overly excited about my game. There are a lot of things around launch that I regret or I would do differently. Still not an apology for the lies. Still not an admission of lies. And that would go a long way, right? And then he goes here, there's a smorgasbord of things that the angry mob can do. It is a crowdsourced thing of how bad you can make someone's life. I remember getting a death threat about the fact that there were butterflies in our original trailer, and you could see them as you walked past them. But there weren't any butterflies in the launch game. I remember thinking to myself, maybe when you're sending a death threat about butterflies in a game, you might be the bad guy.
I mean, to be fair, where the fuck are butterflies? Like, no, but lad, don't be saying you're gonna murder him. But if there's butterflies in the fucking trailer, where's the butterflies in the game?
Where are the butterflies? Where are the butterflies?
Not a reasonable way to do it, like, but fair fucks.
No, but where are the butterflies? And here's the thing, one thing I'll also say with this whole victimhood bullshit, you see a lot of people talk about getting death threats. I always, retweet my threats or screenshot them or report them to the police or do whatever appropriate. I can always show mine. I have done many a time over. I don't buy it. I don't buy that he actually got death threats over the butterfly thing.
There's no way he said, because there are no butterflies in the game, you will die for this.
I mean, I've seen some unbelievable things.
Yeah, to be fair,
I will
mate,
say
to
that,
be
on the
honest, yeah, exactly. The more and more wild shit I see on the internet, absolutely outrageous human beings, but the more and more I start to believe shit. I have seen some wild human beings on Twitter, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but I don't believe it. I'm just going to say I don't believe it. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because if I had lied to, consumers, demonstrably, again, easily provable that they just told lies, I wouldn't try and shift the narrative to be like, I was getting bullied and it was mean and just, oh, yeah, people said all this nasty stuff. I'd just come out cap in hand and say, look, we really oversold what the finished game was going to be like. I didn't do it maliciously. I did it because I was as hyped and excited. And, yeah, we failed to deliver. But with subsequent updates, we hope to put it right and get the game to the state that we promised it was going to be. That's just it, isn't it? I mean, you can't really atone for lying to people.
We shit the bed. Stop dancing around to say the butterflies will be in the game soon. Sorry you didn't, Adam.
Yeah.
Sorry we lied to you. They'll be in.
Right? And then he brings it up again. He goes, that's what you make games for. You stood there, and there is admittedly an angry mob in front of you, but behind that, there's a crowd of others. And I just want to communicate with them directly. I want to make things for them. Listen, mate, the angry mob, right, are the people you fucking robbed blind. Like, you lied to them. Like, you shouldn't want to bypass the angry mob to talk to the people that would just eat your shit if you served it on a plate. You should talk to these guys here. They paid money too. They're angry. They're rightly angry. Why are they rightly angry? And again, this article just doesn't address that at all. And none of them do. None of them do. Ars Technica. This one's mind-blowing. On the offensive. Let's all go to bat. And this is what I mean about the games press are so contemptuous towards their own audience. They're just like, yeah, this company ripped you off, but you're a bunch of man babies, aren't you? So go fuck yourself. So here it is. This is an article in Ars Technica, basically just saying again that the hype. It could just never live up to the hype, basically, and that's everyone else's fault. And actually, if you went out there, you would be able to find this for yourself. Like, you shouldn't be listening to Sean Murray. You should be it's okay that he lied. You should be going out there and finding actual gameplay footage and not paying attention to demos and all of this stuff. I mean, that's the stance of the article. That it's sort of on you, which is crazy. And there's a comment on here from Lee Hutchison, who is at the he's a member of the Ars Technica staff. He's their senior technology editor. And I'll just read you what he says here. It says, I spoke to Murray at length at E3 a couple of years ago prior to release, and the sense I got of the man after a long talk is that he was thrilled about his game, but nervous as hell about doing PR. When you talk to him, he comes across as an earnest fellow, almost to the point of sounding naive, although naive is probably too harsh. And again, I watched every video interview he did when I was researching No Man's Sky. I was excited for the game too at one point before I realized it was probably wrong. I will not do pre-orders. I think they're a cancer in the games industry. And then he follows that up by saying, I liked him. I still like him. He's a kind person. But man, did Hello Games screw the pooch on their messaging. This whole thing is a case study in why your studio absolutely needs at least one person dedicated to PR, pretty much no matter what. If you're a two-person studio, one of those persons should be doing PR. That being said, and okay, I'm gonna say something really unpopular here. Really? A games journalist trying to give his audience the spoonful of medicine? All right, how noble of you. And I don't mean this in a hurtful way, but here it is. If you're one of the people who posts the 10-page long list of Sean Murray's lies and can walk through the entire list of things promised and then not delivered, you weren't actually paying attention to the game while it was in development. Seriously, again, I'm not trying to be shitty or rub anyone's face in anything here, but Hello Games consistently showed up public demos that exactly reflected the state of the game and what we were going to get when it was released. The E3 demo I played in 2015 is damn near exactly like the released product, with a possible exception of faking some big-ass dinosaurs and staging the non-playable hype footage on Life-Rich Worlds. What we saw was exactly what we got. This is revisionist garbage. That demo still bears no resemblance to the game. And if you go and look at, like, Crowby Cat's video comparing the two with the music in there, it's a joke. It's a joke. No, you can't be a credible games journalist and believe that. Maybe you don't understand the medium enough. But, and then, who could be to blame for the failure, do you think, Sam? It's us, isn't it? It's the consumers, again. The failure was one... Yeah, all of us, mate. The failure was one of runaway imagination on the part of people anticipating some kind of ultra game that would be all things to all people, and the failure of any kind of coherent PR strategy to keep those insane speculations in check. It was the lies. Like, if somebody can make a 10-page post called Sean Murray's Lies, and they are all lies, maybe Sean Murray lied a bit. Maybe you should talk about that.
List as well. That's 1 page long.
Yeah. And look, when people replied to him and said he lied, he goes, yeah, I see the fuck him he lied post already starting. I hear you and I see where you're coming from, but honestly, you should have paid closer attention to what they were demoing versus what they were saying. So it's now okay.
So hang on, I have to follow the 3-card Monty and find out where the fucking money card is. So because I got fucking hustled, that's my bad. Like, what does that even mean?
So basically, like, if you go and buy a used car, right, and the used car salesman tells you, yeah, but it's great, it's got this, you know, it's got all these features, it's perfectly fine, and you drive it around the block, and because of a faulty fuel line, it blows up and burns you to death. What would happen is there would be someone telling your family, yeah, well, it's sort of his fault for listening to the used car salesman say that it was safe and in full working order. What he should have done is brought in his own independent set of mechanics to assess the car, because you can't trust what anyone says, can you? That's the senior tech editor of Ars Technica saying that. That is his view, that it's okay for salespeople to lie to sell their game if there's information out there you can find that disproves their lies. And whatever you do, don't post about the lies. That just makes you a fucking nerd, mate. Of course, as well, just to wrap up the No Man's Sky thing, Waypoint chimed in. Waypoint, an absolute sewer. Same publications. And again, no... this is by Austin Walker and Patrick Klepek. Patrick Klepek is going to come up later on in the show. Proved himself to be a massive, massive hypocrite, as per usual. That's all these people are.
Patty Klepek, man.
Yeah. But basically, they completely skirt over everything wrong with the launch of No Man's Sky and instead tunnel in on the harassment and have a lovely little conversation with him saying, yeah, the game's so good, it's so cool, yeah, we love the game. Oh, that harassment you got, oh, it's bloody, so it was wrong, wasn't it, even though you did lie all the time and rip people off and made millions off doing it, yeah. Yeah, I just remember when...
Where's the fucking butterflies? Where's the butterflies?
I just remember when, like, games journalism sort of, like, I don't know, accurately reviewed games, told you whether games were broken or not, busted, sort of held people accountable in the space. It just hasn't been like that for so long. It's just sort of fucking super embarrassing. Now, we segue into a topic that I know a lot of, it's kind of played out now. It happened earlier in the month, but again, it goes to show you the issues that we've got going on, and that is that there is this insane double standard that we were being pushed towards a world, right, where your social media content should dictate whether or not you have a job. That's just it. End of story. If you've ever said anything bad on Twitter, you cannot have a job, no matter what that job is. You could be a child protection specialist, and you could actually be out there saving the lives of children who were abused, getting them out of terrible domestic situations and giving them a shot at life. But if someone went through your Twitter feed and found 10 years ago you made an edgy joke, you would be fired. Let's say an edgy joke about children. You would not be allowed to have a job anymore. End. That's the culture. That's where we're at right now. I'll say this to everybody. If you are just a regular person and you haven't got anything to sell, if the product is like me, the product is myself and my work, I have to have a Twitter. I'm locked into the game. And also, I'm in a position where I don't think I can get fired now. I mean, like, you know, that tempts fate. But I'm sure people will keep coming for my job, but I just don't think they're ever going to get my job. They tried, they took their shots, you know, and now they keep going after Thorin and other people. You know, I successfully lawyered up, got a publication to issue a retraction. So many games journalists are salty as fuck about that. I get linked to tweets all the time going, you know, where they like do that thing where they like put asterisks instead of letters in my name. Or they call me the DreamHack choker. Games journalist. Games journalist.
Well, just so you can't like find you when you search yourself, I guess. Fuck,
yeah.
Creep.
And they say like, oh, he successfully lawyered up, so we've got to be careful what we say. Imagine that. Imagine being a journalist and saying,
"Watch out, guys, we gotta tell the truth.
We can be held accountable for libel and slander." Who knew? Lesson number 1 when you go to fucking study journalism, actually. And once you get past like the technical aspect of it, you very quickly get into the whole don't print lies thing and the consequences for doing so. It's a disgrace. It's an embarrassment. But the thing I want to talk about is the ArenaNet firings. And it's going to be hard because the person we're going to be talking about uses a block bot. So I got to go incognito to make sure I'm looking at the right tweet. But basically, ArenaNet make Guild Wars 2, you know, that kind of thing. And they had a employee called Jessica Price. Now, Jessica Price came from, if I remember rightly, a tabletop game company. And she was like, she writes, you know, dialogue in games and narratives. And, you know, she's part of the writing team in a game. That's pretty much what she does. And there is a streamer whose name I can't pronounce. It's, I want to say Deroir, or maybe Derar, or Deroir. Deroir. How the fuck would you pronounce that?
Deroir.
Deroir.
Deror. I guess so, yeah. Dero, maybe.
I don't know. I don't watch the motherfucking. And if your name is that hard to pronounce, like, just fuck you
have
forever.
a Ronnie rebrand.
Yeah, exactly. Get that. Call yourself John. Right? There you go. Dewar, people are saying. Right?
Dewar.
Right? So, anyway, he plays their games. He plays like Guild Wars 2. And he liked Jessica Price. And he tweeted at Jessica Price. And they were having a discussion. Okay? And I'll show you what happened. So, basically, he replied to a thread. And we all know what Twitter is, right? Twitter is, it's public. It's a public environment, you know? Like, even if I reply to somebody else, like, you can see the tweet. And you can get involved in the conversation. Yeah. There's this understanding. Like, people think Twitter is your own little space, like a private Facebook page. No, motherfuckers, it's public. It's public.
My favorite people say you're harassing them when they get tweeted at. When they
Get out my mention.
People are harassing me. They're harassing me.
No. What you did was you tweeted.
I'm sure I've told people to get out my mentions. I just immediately block them. But I understand that they can still get the tweets. Right?
Yeah. But some, like, I've seen a few people legitimately say just tweeting at them is harassment. No, it is not actually.
It definitely isn't. So anyway, now keep in mind, this is a guy who, like, streams the game, plays the game. He's not like just a random person on the internet. He's somebody that's you know, established in that community, right? And even if you disagree with the point he's making, there's a little bit of tact. Like, for example, if, okay, let's say, for example, if a random person on Twitter that I don't know tweets at me and they say something stupid, I will just say, listen, your point's fucking stupid. Fuck off, mate. I don't want to hear it. Right? Because I can talk like that on Twitter. There are no consequences for me doing that. And these are the rules I've set myself. I will always meet stupidity with abrasiveness. That's part of who I am. They're the rules. And Jessica Price does this. And that's fine. No one's criticizing her for that. That's the personality type she wants to cultivate. Absolutely. But if a pro player said the same stupid thing, a pro player who I might have to commentate about at events, or I might meet at events, hell, might even have a beer with after an event, I would employ a level of tact there in how I shot down his points and told him he was stupid, or I'd probably just ignore it altogether for the sake of the last thing you want, right? It's not a good look if I have to then criticize them on a podcast, or criticize them during a show, or criticize them on air at a live event, and then people can dredge up that tweet and go, oh, you're biased. It's just not a good look. So you got to preserve your integrity. So anyway, he said, which I've linked you to here, really interesting thread to read. However, allow me to disagree slightly. I don't believe the issue lies in the MMORPG genre itself, as your wording seemingly suggests. I believe the issue lies in the constraints of the living stories narrative design. Now, there's a few other points he makes, which I'll just read to you. You don't need to show these. When you want the outcome to be the same across the board for all players' experience, then yes, by design, you are extremely limited in how you can construct the personality of the PC, meaning player character. But if instead players were given the option to meaningfully express their character through branching dialogue options, which also aren't just on the checklist for an achievement that forces you through all dialogue options, then perhaps players would be more invested in the role-playing aspect of that particular MMORPG. Nonetheless, I appreciate the insightful thread. Okay? So, I'm at a loss. I still to this day do not know how insecure and fragile you have to be to interpret any of that as rude.
Yeah, that was so, like, polite and well-written. Just like, may I slightly disagree on one point?
Yeah. And you can even see here she replied with, and again, just immediately defensive, thanks for trying to tell me what we do internally, my dude. Nine face. And then he even says there, I'm sorry if it offended, I'll leave you to it. Okay? But she then highlighted the exchange and said, today in being a female game dev, as if this was in any way about gender, about sexism. It was a guy who plays the game and has played a lot of games of this archetype and streams it professionally, giving you some insight into his thought process about it. And yes, you do work in that industry, but I mean, I'm sure you would be the first to tell me, Jessica Price, Donald Trump's the president of the United States. Doesn't mean he's a competent politician, does it? The idea that I work in the industry, so I absolutely know better than you, and you can't give me any insight, it's a dangerous thinking, unless what the person is saying is so unbelievably stupid. For example, if someone tries to tell me about journalistic methodology and they clearly don't understand what they're saying, yes, I will dismiss it, as I have studied it. I think that's reasonable. This is about how to make better dialogue in an MMORPG by a long-standing player of that. If I would consider that to be valuable feedback, something I'd listen to. You don't have to take it on board. But she immediately tweeted it out and basically said, oh, it's sexism. And he apologized again. So much for an open discussion, I guess. I meant no disrespect at all. Never did, never will. Neither did I imply I knew better, nor has this anything to do with gender. Never did, never will. I will retract my comment, because obviously I'm in the wrong forum for this kind of talk. I mean, he's immediately like, I am so sorry, like, really, I'm out. And when somebody tried to offer him sympathy, he just said, I'm not going to comment further. I just want to distance myself. Please don't pay any attention to me. So when I heard about this Jessica Price thing and how she was being harassed, I was like, she was being harassed by a Twitch streamer? This could get juicy. That's what I found.
Harassed.
That was it. And then she felt so angry about it, she couldn't even just leave it there. She tweeted this out. Okay? So what I'm trying to show you here is that she had outs. She could have got off the fuck up highway and took a turn into Sanity Town. She didn't at any point. She wasn't interested in that. So here you can see here, she then said, like the next rando asshat, referring to Dawar, who attempts to explain the concept of branching dialogue to me as if you know, having worked in game narrative for a fucking decade, I have never heard of it, is getting insta-blocked. PSA. Mature, right?
Someone's a bit fuming then, aren't they?
Like, seriously.
Angry.
Like, what really frustrates me about this is, like, I am sensitive, very sensitive, because I've dealt with this directly in my life. I understand that with some guys in the gaming industry, female credibility is an issue. I absolutely know this. I have heard it from developers. I've heard it from developers' mouths. I've heard it from staffs at big development companies. It's why, if you've ever thought to yourself, why do we have women hosts and women interviewers and women sideline reporters and women casters? Why do we have all of that, but very rarely do we have women analysts, if at all? You might have asked that question. And I brought this up, and I've fought for women to get those analysis jobs because there are women out there who are very fucking capable. Frost Curran in League of Legends immediately springs to mind. One of the top tier analysts who also has a niche speciality in a field, and Riot Games didn't want to hire her because she was too edgy. And also, what they'll never tell you, but what is true, is Riot staff members said they didn't think the League of Legends audience would ever take serious game analysis from a female voice. They assumed misogyny on behalf of the person that they then held back in a misogynistic way. So I know about credibility issues. And let me tell you, right, when you go and have histrionic breakdowns like this, the sexist pigs, the misogynists, they love this. They fucking love this. They go, look, she's having a breakdown because she's a woman. And they use that, and they weaponize that against women who have the wherewithal and the tact and the sensibleness to just be able to see that this person wasn't attacking you in any way, shape, or form. You know, for somebody that claims to be a fucking feminist, shit like this doesn't help anybody. And it's so easily weaponized by the wrong people. It's just an embarrassment. In the same way that you might say it about guys when they say sexist things and women go, oh, look at the guys. Guys are all sexist pigs. And it's like on you to sort of say, you know, oh, but yeah, they don't speak for me. And then you get told, oh, male tears, hashtag not all men. Fuck you, you MRA. It's like, there are a group of people on either side. You cannot have sensible conversations anymore. And Jessica Price, unfortunately, whatever she thinks she's doing, she's actually one of the bad guys. She's contributing to this awful, awful space where you are simultaneously trying to project female power. Fine, no issue with that, but simultaneously playing the victim when somebody says to you, maybe you might want to think about this. What is it? Are you strong enough to take criticism? Perfectly valid, polite, well-structured criticism from what not just one of your consumers, but somebody that helps sell your games? Or are you too weak to do it? Which one? Decide on an identity and stick to it consistently. Otherwise, it's an embarrassment. And this was an embarrassment. You know, I cringed on behalf of every woman who gets a rough deal in the fucking games industry when I read this, because I thought this is ammunition. This is ammunition. Really. So, the next rando asshat, right? That's what she thinks of a promoted streamer that puts out their game. Now, of course, wherever there's a feminist, I want to do a David Attenborough type thing here. Let's
There is the feminist in the local habitat.
Yeah. Now, not far from the feminist, you will find the parasitic being, the most wretched and servile of creatures that lives on the underbelly of the feminist, the male feminist. Possessing no free will or thoughts of its own, the male feminist projects feminist ideology, believing that maybe it might be invited to mate in the feminist circle. Alas, this will never happen. The feminist finds the male feminist repulsive, and the male feminist will die a lonely death shortly after being exposed for being a sex predator. Right, there you go. There's David Attenborough on the fucking male feminists.
Male feminist. Time to bust out the effects, mate.
Right. So male. I'm glad you got the effects pedal out. Do you want to do it again? Do you want to do it again?
Male feminist.
It cuts out when you go ist. I don't know why.
Probably,
Is it the game?
I just pressed it too early. Right, ready? Right, one more time.
Yeah.
Male feminist.
Nope. It just goes male
Maybe it doesn't
feminine.
like teas. It just doesn't like teas.
Yeah.
Man.
Anyway, it's like Americans.
Actually,
It
I
doesn't
could
like
go deeper.
Let's not do this.
Okay,
Let's not make this the show, yeah? This is child pressing buttons.
This
Let's
is what
not
the
make
people
this
be
the
waiting
show.
for, mate.
Yeah, it's great. Right. Awesome. Right, so anyway, another employee called Peter Fries or Freeze. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I like the idea of fries. 'cause it makes it-
Peter
yeah,
Fries.
there you go. It makes it
Would
sound.
you like fries with that? Like,
Yeah, exactly. It does make it sound like, a food thing. So, so Jessica Price had tweeted out, ask yourself why. She's still harping on at this point about, Dewar making the points he made. Ask yourself why you felt the need to do that. It's called a conversation. Humans have them. Twitter is a public medium. If you post on Twitter, you invite conversation. That's how it works. And then Peter Fries responded with, also see lopsided defense of mansplaining in your mentions versus outpouring of sympathy for misunderstood dude in his. No, he wasn't mansplaining. He gave his opinion. Mansplaining
he
isn't
didn't even
real.
explain anything. He just said, like, this
Yeah,
is my opinion on this topic. This is where I slightly
Yeah,
disagree.
he said I slightly
Yeah.
disagree. It wasn't like blah blah blah. What would you know about it with your ovaries?
She knows about video games.
Yes, if your ovaries are ruining your mind because your feminist emotions, your feminine emotions. Now let me explain how the thing you do works. Never happened, right? And that's exactly how they tried to present it. And then just look at, again, the mind of the male feminist. Peter Fries said, like, he goes, we didn't ask for feedback. And then somebody replies going, it's fucking Twitter, my dude. And he goes, these are our private social media accounts. Imagine...
You make them private by hitting that motherfucking private.
Yeah. Make it private then, right? These are our private social media accounts. Imagine you're an astronomer, and you start sharing some things you've learned in the last few months since you began a research project observing Saturn, only to have observation techniques explained to you by a layman. Well, that might happen if you tweet about it, yeah. But that isn't even what happened here. And then he complains and starts going, this was our day off. We shouldn't have to deal with this. We've been working hard for months. Get off Twitter and go outside then, you fucking mug. Do you know what I mean? What's wrong with you fucking plum? I can't believe this. Like, holy shit, like, Well, you're a male feminist, so obviously you like self-flagellation. Love me, milady. Love me. Please find me desirable, milady. Like, what's he talking about? This silly cunt. What a fucking mug. Anyway, so, unsurprisingly, right? I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's this thing now. Oh, actually, before we even get into it, I've got a clip, Sam. Can we play clips? This is going to break everything if I make you play a clip.
Play a clip.
Right. Just to show you how much of a nice guy this Dewar character is. Shit name, nice guy.
Shit name, nice guy.
Right. Play this clip.
I said this on
He's fucking. He's saying how great Jessica Price is. This is the day. No, this is the day before she fucking unloaded on him.
Okay. 3,
Right?
2, 1, go.
I said this on Tea Time as well. On Sunday, I genuinely believe that the reason why, like, this was the perfect time to kill him off, because we needed something more. I love Jessica Price's responses. She is like the god of fucking AMAs. Like, she's
I'm being harassed. He's harassing me.
all the way through. It's absolutely amazing to read through. But at one point she was like, she just explained, this is why we did it.
Sound.
Right. You know what I mean? Couldn't be nicer, right? Couldn't be nicer. So, again, I don't know if people have noticed this, but now we exist in a world where anything you say on social media can be... Oh, and again, sorry, just before I even make this point, right, the obvious point that we've all already reached to, but I'm going to say it anyway, because that's how it works. Just, let's have a look at her credits. Because she does talk, right, like a good game. Like, there's a world of difference, isn't there, being told, like, let's say, for example, right, you tweeted at William Burroughs and you went, you know, what do you know about experimental freeform fiction writing, right? And William Burroughs was like, oh, dear boy.
Imagine you'd be wearing a beret if you ever did that. Like,
Yeah.
I think the only person who ever has got a beret.
I invented the cut-up technique, and you know what I mean? Like, Burroughs would have a right to talk. But if you tweeted that at fucking J.K. Rowling and wrote a bunch of kids' books, like, you know, there's a sliding scale. She's still a very successful published author. And then if you wrote it to somebody that was doing, like, a fucking English class, you know, there's a sliding scale, isn't there, right? So I'm like, well, what's Jessica Price got, man? Because I'm 10 years in the industry, you know, she talks as if she is the fucking authority on this topic. So I went and looked up what her, like, credits are. Look at them. She did some editing on Connectimals. She was a writer on Connect Adventures, and she did flavor text for Pathfinder Adventures before moving on to ArenaNet.
So,
you know, it just isn't. It isn't what I expected, mate.
not exactly a fucking cabinet full of Oscars, like.
Nah. Just ain't. I don't even know what the fuck Connectimals are.
You must have
I don't
had
know
something happened between 2010 and 2017, no, mate. What happened?
Well,
in
that's
those
when she was
fucking
doing the tabletop
years?
gaming
Ah,
stuff,
okay.
to be fair. But let's have a look at Connectimals. What the fuck are these? I mean,
I assume they're like VR things.
unfortunately for me, I can't look at stuff like this because I follow Gaming and Pandas on Twitter, and he just endlessly posts furry porn, and it's just sort of ruined
Why though?
anything with animals in. Why though? I don't know.
Why?
He just does, like.
Why are you seeing it? Who is Gaming and Pandas? What does he do?
He's just a funny Twitter account to follow.
Yeah, funny, love it.
No, but I mean, like, in between the 30%
funny
furry
Twitter
porn and
account.
Bowser cock.
Just a funny Twitter account, no reason. Just funny, innit? I think it's Panda.
I've told him many a time, like, but apart from the one time I said, let's have a round of fucking Bowsers, and he did just start
Not even
posting
me.
Bowser cock all day.
Alright, okay.
So, but anyway, right, we'll crack on.
Bowser
So anyway,
cock.
yeah, unacceptable. So I don't know if you've realised this, right? But when you act like a cunt on social media these days, there can be these things called consequences. And lo and behold, it happened to Jessica Price and the male feminist ally that was, conscripted into this really stupid stance and trying to use any sort of excuse. It's our day off. It's our private Twitter. Like, no, listen, it cannot be defended. If you are a front-facing person for a company, you cannot call the consumers rando asshats and expect your bosses to be all right with that, right? So anyway, not a surprise. The CEO over at ArenaNet came out, Mike O'Brien, and just did a little thing on the forums while they were debating this, because it obviously made its way back to the forums. So ArenaNet were very aware. And they said, recently, 2 of our employees failed to uphold our standards of communicating with players. Their attacks on the community were unacceptable. As a result, they're no longer with the company. I want to be clear that the statements they made do not reflect the views of ArenaNet at all. As a company, we always strive to have a collaborative relationship with the Guild Wars community. We value your input. We make this game for you. Right? Now, let me tell you.
Mate.
Yeah,
Double
massive oof.
sacking oof.
Now, let me tell you. Okay, I'm all right with that. If this is the world we live in, where you can be held accountable for fucking social media and we all get fired and people are going to go after you for shit you say on social media, it's like I said, if you've got a social media account and you don't have to sell shit, delete it. Get rid of it. It's pointless. It's pointless. You can keep up with stuff. There's plenty of news feeds out there. But if you ever want a job and you're ever tempted to tweet something just amusing, a joke, if you've ever done it, go back and delete it now, because there's no sanctuary. It doesn't matter when you tweeted it, what you tweeted, what the context was. You'll lose your job. This was different. This wasn't. She's got some private. She directly attacked a customer and somebody who streams the game publicly, and then subsequently attacked every other person who said, "You're being a bit harsh there, Jessica."
Yeah, I think it'd be different, like, if it was just, she had a bad day and she was like, look, I'm sorry, it was a rough day or whatever. If she had, like, been apologetic afterwards, but as far as I could tell, she wasn't, right? She just continued to be aggro the entire time, so I guess you don't really want those kind of people working, especially the customer end of a fucking games company, do you? No,
of course not, right? So, for me, that's the end of the story, right? I mean, like, that's where it's got to end, Public-facing employee was rude to customers. How many times have we seen this story? Person says, fucked up thing on Twitter, gets fired. End of story. And just to remind you, I had no idea. Well, I should have done, probably. But I thought, they're going to try and make this out to be something it ain't. But they're not going to go too hard in the paint. Because, after all, the games press likes this. And I'll prove it. Because it wasn't that long ago, and and before anyone says anything, I also stood by this. I got linked to this, and I talked about it on a stream, and I told people back when I used to stream, and I told everybody on the stream that this is actually fair play, that this person got fired. And this was Subnautica, the sound designer, Simon Chilinsky, got fired. No small part of the Subnautica experience, because the sound design in that game is amazing and really makes the game. And some tweets of his came to the forefront, and I'll read you them. He replied to Paul Joseph Watson and said, people aren't blank slates that can be reprogrammed simply by being in a new country. Importing random people from the third world is also importing third world tier crime rates and IQ. Now you are dealing with third world levels of dysfunction. Condolences from Poland, but we tried to warn you. And then they also tried to say that he was a transphobe, because when he said, which gender do you identify with, he replied, helicopter, spelt wrong. The attack kind.
That's just like an old meme, though, right?
Yeah, it's just an old shit meme.
I identify as an attack helicopter.
So, here's what I'll say. I think if you work for a company and you publicly tweet that people from the third world have some sort of lower IQ than people not from the third world, which, by the way, if you've ever looked at immigration and how that works, very often you find people with incredible skills and incredible talent that come and do jobs that existing people cannot do. It doesn't really hold up as a theory. I've never really followed the whole IQ rates bullshit. I'm not interested in it. I think if people like try and nail down IQ as some sort of like really super scientific method of assessing intelligence, I think they're lacking in intelligence. And we all know it is indeed a white supremacist talking point. There's no getting away from its connotation in that regard, which isn't to say if you want to discuss IQ rates and mean IQ rates and median IQ rates, have at it. I don't think that makes you inherently a racist, but something like this certainly doesn't make me feel like you're somebody I would want to know or have a discussion with. If you say, yeah, you're from the third world, so we're getting crime and IQ, lower IQ because of it, probably going to assume you might be a bit of a racist. Now, that tweet was seized upon, right, along with all the others, and they said, despite it being their personal Twitter account and made, you know, completely away from the development of the game, it's good that he got fired. Kotaku, it's good that he got fired. We do not want racists and, you know, in the inclusive gaming community or people with those reprehensible views. It's fine. And I could point you to dozens of other examples. I won't bore you with them, right? Won't bore you with them, right? It's absolute fine. They're the rules now. So be consistent, games journalists. Be consistent. That's all I'm asking of you. Well, what do you think happened? Do you think we got consistency? Or do you think we got some insane revisionist narrative about how Jessica Price was the victim in all of this? And I mean, they all tunneled in on Jessica. This is, by the way, if you are a male feminist, this is what happens, okay? He got fired too. No one gives a fuck because there's no victim angle. You just get woke points. That's it. That's all you get. It ain't worth it, right? PC Gamer. Now, there's a journalist over at PC Gamer called Austin Wood. He's atrocious and unethical. He wrote this piece. Guild War 2 writers fired following heated Twitter exchange with streamer. It wasn't a heated exchange, was it? It wasn't a heated exchange. Heated exchange implies both parties were exchanging heated language. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And again, the original story, you have to kind of scroll down to where it says original story because they've subsequently updated it. They sort of try and play down what Jessica Price did. They said that the developer responded rudely. I mean, that's putting it as nicely as you can. And it's really weird. And then in the final paragraph, they go here. It's no grand secret that game developers, especially women, are regularly targeted by fans who want to lash out, condescend, or place blame, to say nothing of the insults, threats, and other toxicity routinely hurled their way, because the abuse against men doesn't count, because we're big boys and we can cope with it, right? It's not, I mean, you know, it's not as if men have a higher fucking suicide rate or anything. You know, yeah, yes, we're fine. Give me that abuse, you know? Yeah, that's okay. But women, once you take a hit of the fucking respect women juice, they're all victims, really, for some reason. But they're also simultaneously strong and independent. Cognitive dissonance in a fucking can, my friends. So, no examples, by the way. If it's no grand secret, show me one or two examples, please. Must be easy enough for you to find them. You're the games journalist. Not linked to any. That being said, this incident was not on the level of the harassment maelstroms we've seen in the past. You're right. Yeah, definitely is nothing like it. There was no harassment. There was actually zero harassment. So to even link it to harassment, which you haven't demonstrated exists, is absurd because no harassment took place. A developer explained their writing philosophy. A partnered content created offered feedback, and that developer responded somewhat rudely. Ordinarily, that would be the end of it, perhaps followed by a round of apologies or someone stepping away from their role temporarily. But in the case of ArenaNet, they felt the need to immediately fire the employees involved. And it's like, yes, this is what you have been fighting for. This is what you wanted, games journalists. You wanted to feel that you were in control of the industry, and you weaponized social media mobs. You did it. You gave them the platform. It's all you ever write about. Social media mob over there. We'll put our coverage here, our viewpoint here, and we'll mobilize more and more people. You guys sell the torches and the pitchforks outside of the mill. That is the role of the games press now. Right? Remember, if anybody supports Gamergate, don't buy their game. Please, Twitter mob. Please. Kingdom Come Deliverance is racist because it's historically accurate. Please. Please, mob. You love mobs. You fucking love it when they're fighting your woke politic battles in an arena that it's just... Wait. So what? Our game is historically accurate and reflected the times, and it's actually meant to be historically accurate. That's like a big selling feature of the game. Yeah, but there's no black people in it. Yeah, but there was no black people in that area at that time, and nobody disagrees with us. So what do we do? Yeah, but historical accuracy is unimportant now, because we want you to put black people in the game, and then next week we're going to tell you about how there's too many black people in Far Cry 5, and actually black people would never do the things in that game. We're going to come at you from all angles at all times, and you're just going to have to roll with the punches, dude. Games journalists love angry Twitter mobs. It's the only thing that gives them power, respect, and influence, because they are a joke in the eyes of everyone else. Other journalists look down on you because you're not a real journalist. The consumer looks down on you because you do nothing for the consumer. You can't write. You're not intelligent. You've got nothing. You are glorified bloggers just pissing away your life, hoping for a Twitter mob to rile up and make you feel important, like you are the Pied Piper of every woke piece of shit on the internet that's going to come out and attack someone, maybe for like saying something possibly that was, you know, reprehensible 10 years ago. You love that shit. So don't pretend you don't like it. Now, the order you have established went against you one time. Well, you see, they can't have that. That's not what we wanted. That's not what we wanted. Right? What we want is we want it to only be the targets we say when we say. So it's PC Gamer, I think, one of the first to put it out there. Then it's Rock, Paper, Shotgun. We all remember them. Rock, Paper, Shotgun, yes. Same people that went after the makers of RimWorld and pretended they had broke down the code in the game to prove he was against lesbians. And then he just said, oh, it's actually a mathematical error. Thanks for that. Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Check this for a loaded headline and completely non-factually accurate. ArenaNet throw 2 Guild Wars 2 writers to the wolves. Where are the wolves? Who are the wolves? How are you getting eaten by wolves? You said something stupid, got fired. That's the end. There's no wolves ripping you apart. She'll walk into another job. I mean, that's how it works, right? So, where are the wolves? There are no wolves. But again, they tried to make it sound that she was being constantly attacked even after she was fired. No, people did welcome this because it's the one time I can think of in recent times where a games development company actually came out and said, you know what, we value our community. How refreshing is that? And games journalists couldn't allow it. They have to go on this offensive. So look, for further context, Jessica Price joined ArenaNet around a year ago, and the Guild Wars 2 post announcing her arrival was locked by moderators because some posters took instant umbrage with Price's Twitter account, fearing that the game might be affected by SJW agendas. That, and she was incredibly fucking rude to people and was always harping on about the sexist boogeyman under the bed. That doesn't exist. She's proof of it, by the way. How do you present yourself as being incredibly successful in a man's world, knowing better than any other man, but well, who's holding you back then? Who's holding you back? The men? The patriarchy?
The wolves, Richard, the wolves.
Right.
The connectimals.
Yeah. So I mean, a few posts, by the way, on this thread, if you want to go look at it, are being held up as sort of like, this is what you all think. And then this is how it ends. Even if you disagree with the tweets, ArenaNet's statement is poor. By stating that Price and Fry's tweets do not reflect the views of ArenaNet at all, they've written a blank check to Guild War 2 players who believe they should, as Price put it, be able to exert ownership over developers' personal lives. They don't want ownership over their personal lives. They just don't want to get called a sexist mansplaining cunt for having a very mild disagreement over how to structure branching dialogue. Could this be any more of a fucking rich white person's problem? I mean, could this be more privileged to complain about? To use their language, right? Developers must always be polite, always be collaborative, always be on. Price's Twitter mentions are currently a wall of gloating and abuse from the usual suspects who have just been told their actions are justified. Yes, they are. You set the tone. It's too late to turn this fucking ship around. Twitter is now an extension of who you are, and there is no context that will save you when you go viral. None. Another rock paper shotgun journalist came out, said this. Tell me how reasonable this is. John Walker, utterly astonished by the pure idiocy and wretchedness of ArenaNet, literally saying to an abusive hate mob, people just upset that there seems to be no consequences for employees publicly being rude to consumers. That's an abusive hate mob these days. That they value your input over and above their value for their employees is completely disgusting. What a disgraceful shit show. It's interesting, isn't it? Let me try and explain something to John Walker, who, again, dare I say, has lived probably a very privileged and sheltered life. Here's how it works. To a corporation, the consumer is more important than the employee. Yes, because they pay money and keep them in business and allow them to have employees. Employees, no matter how good they are always replaceable. Consumers, absolutely not. Once people stop buying your product, you are doomed. It is why the fucking word boycott has so much power and gets fucking misused so often. It's why even Pepsi, a company like PepsiCo, pulled that fucking ridiculous ad where, you know, here's the Coke, and can we stop the riots now, and drink, ooh, the cola's gonna save us. They had to pull it because everybody complained, and well, fuck it, if people stop drinking Pepsi, we've got nothing, except all the other fucking companies we own in our giant evil corporation. That's how it is. That's how it is. So yes, consumers are more important than employees. Have to be. That's how business works. The Daily Dot, right? The Daily Dot. God, to think I used to work
Back
there.
to the Daily Dingus, mate.
It makes me sick now, though, what it became. I'm glad I left. You know what? Like, it would be easy for me to sit here and say, oh, I should never have took that 6 months at Breitbart because I get fucking absolutely wrecked over and over again about it. And I do, and, you know, and yeah, it would be great if there was a way we could go back in time and not have that connotation and the world couldn't have gone crazy. And, you know, maybe I could have done a bit more research. Maybe I didn't know they were going to write some of the things they wrote. I just wrote about video games and tech issues and very mildly about the culture wars. People post a link of me going, I wish social justice types would try and explain why they stand with radical Islam and Sharia law. You know, that makes me racist, apparently. I don't get it. But anyway, I wrote for the Daily Dot. I left the Daily Dot once they started literally controlling the narrative around a guy called Tim Hunt. Strangely pertinent to this. Remember when Tim Hunt made a joke? And the joke was, we need more women because of stupid old fools like me who say things like this, like women cry in the lab, women have emotions, and I should be pushed out of the industry and more women should come in. He made that joke, and 3 journalists conspired and lied about him, and it cost him everything. Again, you set the rules. You made the rules. Well, I knew the Daily Dot was rotten the moment they wouldn't let me publish the story about a recording emerging that proved the journalists had lied. And the reason why, they said, well, the journalist who was a professor at a university in London teaching other journalists how to work, they said she might lose her job. And she's a black woman and we can't have that. That was really what happened. So I knew then. So where do you go? You know, like you gotta get a job quick. You know some people. Yeah, I jumped out of the frying pan, probably into the fire a little bit, and went from one extreme to the other. But the Daily Dot's an embarrassment now. I mean, I almost consider it as equally embarrassing when bringing up my credentials. I used to be proud of the work we did over there. It's unbelievable now, the shit that gets wrote. Here's the Daily Dot's take on what happened. Okay? Guild Wars 2 fires employees for calling out a mansplainer on Twitter.
Incorrect.
That just isn't what happened. That just isn't what happened at all. Right? And keep in mind, the author who wrote this lie and this attempt to spin the narrative, she does film and TV critic work for the BBC. The tendrils, they spread. They don't give a fuck. They'll lie everywhere. They will lie everywhere they can, anywhere they can, as often as they can. You didn't get fired for calling out a mansplainer. You were unnecessarily rude and aggressive to a partnered streamer who was part of the community and promotes your game. And I will also wager, based on your Twitter history, because yes, she was also one of the vile cunts that tap danced a merry dance on Twitter when Total Biscuit died. You know, I'll wager she's probably had 1 or 2 warnings in the past. Just gonna go out on a limb and say that. So, you know, standard stuff, people coming out and going, oh, God, it's a disgrace. They got to unionize and rise up. Again, the Daily Dot ran articles about...
Unionize and rise up.
Yeah, no,
what fucking
mad, isn't it?
mad world.
Yeah, no, it's mad. The Daily Dot stance... The Daily Dot stance on the Tim Hunt issue was that it was good that he was fired. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. The hypocrisy is nonsensical. The presentation of fact is ridiculous. Kotaku keep their high standard of absolute gibberish, fictitious journalism up to, you know, in 2018, I think they're probably at a perfect fucking batting average for just publishing bullshit. I don't think they care anymore. I think they're just trying to keep the lights on before Univision has to fucking sell them off to somebody else.
You racist, homophobic.
Right, and they get bought by a fucking Peter Thiel or something hilarious like that. Right? And here's the thing. This is Nathan Grayson, of course, who else? And basically he took a Reddit comment, right, and presented it as fact. And it wasn't fact. It was a troll. It was the opposite of fact. It's what we call lies. So somebody created this account here and posted on the Guild Wars 2 subreddit. Even better, we can probably fire anyone on the GW2 team as long as we make a big enough stink. Nobody at ArenaNet is safe from the hand of Reddit. We're literally running the company now. They're in fear of the very users they seek to consort with. And if the devs stop communicating, we'll just go at their PR person and cut them down. We actually play the game more than they'll ever be able to. The moment a dev steps out of line or try to talk back to a player, guess what? They'll know we got their hands on their throat and we can squeeze any time we like. Now, that comment was downvoted. It's at -6 at the time. It was archived. It got downvoted even more. Nathan Grayson took that comment, several journalists did this, and said, look at the hate mob. This is what you did, ArenaNet. Right? And the guy came out and said, actually, what I was doing was I was trying to hold up a mirror to the community and say something as ridiculous as possible, and I'm actually on your side. Okay? So we'll just present that as fact. No issues there. We'll put a little tiny update at the bottom once the Reddit user contacts us. Won't change the tone of the story. Won't rewrite any of the paragraphs. No problem. And a quote from Jessica Price, because why not? The message is very clear, especially to women at the company. If Reddit wants you fired, it was fucking Twitter, mate, by the way. If Reddit wants you fired, we'll fire you. Get out there and make sure the players have a good time, and make sure you smile while they hit you. Like, why would you invoke the language of domestic abuse here? Why would you do that, Jessica? You're a feminist. You care about women, right? It's unreal. It doesn't end there. Of course it doesn't. We had The Verge did coverage on it. I think the Daily Dot esports division, which of course I had a part in assembling, they published an article basically saying that Guild, again, check this headline, by firing Jessica Price, Guild War 2's ArenaNet is telling women to sit down and shut up. I don't know how you arrive at that conclusion. I don't know how you arrive that this is somehow
just
an inherently
reasonable discussions with the people who are paying the fucking company's bills. That's all they're saying. Don't lash out with the people who are paying your salary. Probably a good idea.
Nothing to do with esports either, by the way. But whatever. So there was that, just to keep it up. And again, compound my shame having ever been associated with that brand. And then Polygon. Because we haven't heard from Polygon. It's absolutely imperative that we do. Polygon. ArenaNet's firings reinforced gaming culture's worst impulses, written, of course, by serial liars Julia Alexander and Ben Kuchera, two of the most unethical games journalists still being able to ply their wretched trade. And all you have to do is Control F, Gamergate, and it is just through this article like a stick of rock. It's got absolutely nothing to do with it, but they're still talking about it. I won't bore you with this article, but basically, again, they use that fake Reddit comment, reported as fact, basically say that this is a weaponized hate mob. And somehow, you know, they even get to drop Total Biscuit's name in there. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. Now, we're on the downslope of the show, so we need to start winding this up. But I'm going to talk about the other big stink that's been kicked up lately, which proves Twitter is just a battlefield now. Couple of points before we move on to it. In that Polygon article, actually, there is a ridiculous piece where she talks about the firing. And just look at this. It's like she just cannot understand that a man can interact with a woman and it not be colored by sexism. She doesn't get it. She talks about how she got fired. She said, I was called into a meeting with the company's president, Mike O'Brien. Understand, you're not getting fired by a line manager. You are getting fired by the president himself of the company, right? I was given no opportunity to argue my case. My manager was on vacation, and O'Brien spent some time insisting that developers must be friends with the company's customers, and that was unacceptable to say that we aren't, even when we're not on the clock. He told me I'd look back and regret this because we were doing great work and I'd ruined it. The whole thing was highly unprofessional. There was zero reason for him to be there. He wanted to vent his anger, and he had the power to command a woman to stand there while he took his feelings out on her, so he did. Then he walked out. The manager, the HR manager, got my stuff from my desk, and I was asked for my key card. Now, I don't know. I'd consider it a sign of respect, actually. It was deemed so important the president himself come down to fire your incompetent ass. But no, and they just put it out there. They just literally put it out there. Again, Polygon, yeah, the president of this company obviously hates women. He has no reason to be there. Every reason. It's his company. And just as another point, we hear a lot about this fucking whole thing about, you know, free speech, right? And what it means. And you'll always find these assholes that get fucked up. They always end up being wrecked by their own logic. And Jessica Price is no different. Here you can see, Sam, it goes here. Shouldn't have to keep saying this, but the First Amendment only protects you from government censorship. Social financial consequences are free speech working as intended. So how about this then? You shut the fuck up, you take it on the fucking chin, and you go try and find another job. Right?
Oh, that one's aged well, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's free speech working as intended. Good. You said the thing. You took the consequences. Shut the fuck up. Scuttle the fuck off. And go and be decidedly mediocre somewhere else, you annoying bitch. Just fucking go. Like, seriously. Like, I can't even believe you've got the audacity to fucking try and argue your point. Right. So, let's move on to this. James Gunn. I'm sure you heard about it. James Gunn directs these movies called Guardians of the Galaxy. Very fucking successful movies. Good movies. I enjoyed them. Don't know how you feel about it. You watch Guardians of the Galaxy?
I watched the first one. It was alright, yeah. We're bad.
You haven't seen the sequel yet?
No, I'm not a big superhero kind of guy, but I haven't watched the Avengers, and watched Infinity War, I haven't watched any.
Okay. Well, James Gunn, sort of a long time ago, used to tweet ridiculous things. Used to tweet pretty offensive tweets in a bid to try and be funny. You know, like you could do back in the day before the people that are now defending James Gunn turned it into the battlefield that it became. I'll read you some of the tweets here. We've got, I like it when little boys touch me in my silly place. What else? My new film, Jerk Loose, a small town where beating off is illegal and one high school kid jerks off in front of the others to show how fun it is. I'm doing a big Hollywood film adaptation of The Giving Tree with a happy ending. The tree goes back and gives the kid a blowjob. You'll notice a theme, a recurring theme here. The Hardy Boys and using the hashtag sad children's books. The Hardy Boys and the mystery of what it feels like when Uncle Bernie fists me. This hotel shower is the weakest ever. Felt like a 3-year-old was peeing on my head. Unromantic movies. 3 men and a baby they had sex with. What else have we got here? The Expendables was so manly. I fucked the shit out of the little pussy boy next to me. The boys are back in town. I don't know what that's about. And then he said, I remember my first NAMBLA meeting. It was the first time I felt okay being who I am. Some of those guys are still my best friends. So, lots of pedophilia jokes, right? Now, here's the thing. Marvel's owned by Disney. Guardians of the Galaxy is a Disney movie, right? So,
a kid's film.
Yes. So you can imagine, right, that maybe Disney wouldn't like this. Now, Mike Cernovich, I've talked about it. I've met Mike. He said some outrageous shit in the past. Indeed, it makes no sense to me how he can be the one to go after people based on the shit he said. Because he said some outrageous shit. You know it,
mindset, mate. Gorilla mindset, no problem. Gorilla mindset. Gotta go out there, mate.
Yeah, but again, this guy, he wrote that article, If in Doubt, Whip It Out, which basically says if you're not sure if you're going to get laid on a date, why not try sexually assaulting your date by exposing yourself to her? I can't defend the shit that he said in the past. Like, when he was trying to be the gorilla mindset dating guru, he said some outrageous shit. He now wants to be taken seriously as a serious journalist. I don't know about that.
Yeah, he's just fucking wild. Like, I can't believe the people we tiptoe around this subject as if he's normal. But have you watched his fucking Periscopes, but?
Oh no, he's wild.
No, yeah, like diagnosably, mate. Like, we can't just keep pretending like it's normal. But the shit that he says in our Periscope and stuff is wild.
Yeah, you're right. Well, he was the guy that sort of collated all these tweets and put it out there. And it went viral. And right-wing people started saying, yes, for once, we can get a high-profile scalp in the culture war that everyone's been fighting. And yes, we're going to get them. We're going to get James Gunn. And lo and behold, James Gunn got fired. He's no longer going to direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They are going to replace him.
Why did
now,
they go after this guy specifically? Is he a left-wing sort of guy? I don't really know his...
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a factor, right? Like, he's not a Fox News contributor, let's put it that way. So that's just how it works. This is what Twitter has become now. Tim Sorrett actually made a great tweet. I retweeted it. He's a games developer who, again, got called misogynist and all this because he made a game exploring like what would happen, called The Last Night. What would happen if radical feminism and woke dogma took over the world? What would society look like? And he made a tweet basically saying, I'll read it to you. We don't need to bring it up. But he said, Twitter used to be such a cool place. We let it become a dystopian negative force. With America's over-politicization, it became a field of war. You can walk on a mine at any moment. Maybe the mine was there a long time ago. Maybe you planted the mine. It's especially hard to navigate for non-Americans coming here with different values, symbols, tolerance thresholds, definitions, humor, political spectrums. It's just unwelcoming and scary for foreigners because we have to walk on a risky, unforgiving American territory. And I've said this a lot. It is true. It is white, middle to upper class America that dictates what the rest of the world can say on social media based on their little outrage machines that they power. It's not, you know, an Eastern European has a very different cultural mindset to an American. Why is it we hold up the American standard as the virtuous one and not the Eastern European? Why? Same for French people. You know, there are different cultural norms. We're always being told to respect and appreciate culture. But what we really mean is, we respect and appreciate culture, but when we come together, it is American white culture, wealthy culture, that is the one that we respect the most, and you must use the language we say and make the jokes that we approve. You know, it's ridiculous. I totally sympathize with that. I totally sympathize with that. So anyway, this is the whole culture war working as intended. This is what you built. This is the state apparatus you built. And celebrities have realized, you know, left-leaning celebrities, wait a fucking minute, corporations don't care. I can't believe I have to explain this. Do you think corporations do these things because they share your woke politics? Corporations don't give a fuck about woke politics. Corporations exploit third world child labor. Corporations suck water out of the ground next to villages that have no clean water supply and laugh about it. Corporations say water isn't a human right, let alone housing and health care. Corporations are evil. Profit is the bottom line, not human life. And yet you think, you wacky liberal fucks, you think that a corporation cares about woke politics. They care about woke politics when it's going to stop a boycott, only then and only then. When it's going to erode the only thing a corporation exists to accumulate, profit. That is it. They don't care about your politics. So if a right-wing boycott comes in, it's all the same colour. It's all the same colour to them. It cuts into their bottom line. It cuts into their bottom line. So yes, a right-wing push for a boycott on a Disney movie with negative press from Fox News that might stop families going to see it because it's directed by somebody that's joking about pedophilia, yes, Disney will act. Guess what? But the liberal celebrities are like, well, this is a political witch hunt. This is crazy. So loads of people who have took the exact opposite stance in the past have now come out and are trying to defend those jokes by James Gunn. Keep in mind, you can't teach your dog to do a Nazi salute. Right? You can't do that. We pull a TV show, and again, I'm not even defending Roseanne Barr. We pull an entire TV show and put 200 people out of work because somebody that she doesn't think is black, she says she's got a haircut like she's from Planet of the Apes. Not defending it. But we put 200 people out of work and pull the network's best show off the air, and everybody said that was the only course of action available to the network. We agree on this. These are the rules. These are the world we live in. Well, not anymore, because now it's starting to happen to leftists and woke people, and everyone's terrified. Like, holy shit, it can happen to anyone? Yes. You have given the corporations the power to pull the plug on anything if it's justified by a Twitter mob. Congratulations. You have made your own fucking hell. And now you, the edgy liberals, because if you remember, liberals, they were always the more edgy people, weren't they? Always in comedy, it's always liberals, historically. It's always liberals that are looking to push the boundaries and push back against traditionalism. It's only recently that liberals became the Puritans. So guess what happens if you go back 10 years? You find the edgy jokes, don't you? Of course you do. Especially comedians. Comedy's fucked. Comedy's dead. If you've ever told a joke that's like mad and unacceptable, that's like by today's standards, it's over. I remember George Carlin using the N-word to fucking explain why the N-word isn't racist, and he did it by calling Richard Pryor the N-word. Would that ever fly today? Absolutely not. And yet I'm supposed to believe that fucking George Carlin, one of the most liberal and progressive thinkers you could ever come across, is a racist. That's what they would have you believe now. Shit, we sat down the other day and watched Blazing Saddles. Couldn't make that no more. So, celebrities came out and tried to defend James Gunn because he got fired immediately. And I've linked you here, Sam, if you want to bring these up. 200,000 people, by the way, have signed a petition to get him reinstated. So apparently making jokes about pedophilia is okay if you work for Disney. But Big Davey Batista, he come out and said he's gentle and kind and cares deeply for people and animals. He's made mistakes. We all have. I'm not okay with what's happening to him. And then, just in proof that the steroids have wrecked his brain, and it's a fucking shame, because I like Davey Batista, but clearly what juice he was using didn't just destroy his knob. It's fucking rotted his brain away. Right? He tweeted out that this was an attack by cyber Nazis.
Fucking hell.
Is this a Doctor Who episode? What will you do when the cyber Nazis attack you?
Cyber Nazis.
It could have. We're gonna have to get that working. What will you do when the cyber Nazis attack you? Who will stand by you? Who will cowardly distance themselves from you? Who will punish you for horrible jokes in the past instead of defending you for inspiring millions? Millions! Redemption! Injustice! Mate, it's a redemption. We'd love redemption. It's an injustice when a man has to go to fucking court to defend teaching his pet dog to raise his arm, and you all said he's actually secretly a Nazi, he's secretly alt-right, so it's okay. Where is the consistent viewpoint here? Patton Oswalt came out and said it was a Gamergate-style smear campaign. No, Gamergate was with the original victims of the smear campaign. They didn't smear anybody. They couldn't smear anybody. They didn't have the apparatus to smear anybody. You smeared them. The games press went out and fucking said gamers are dead, gamers are over, gamers don't have to be your audience, fuck gamers. When what they could have just done was just ignore it and it wouldn't have been a big deal at all. So, again, post-fact era. Will Sommer, writer at the Daily Beast, straight to the defense of James Gunn, came here. He says here, corporations are still falling for Gamergate-style campaigns. Well, that means Anita Sarkeesian has run a Gamergate-style campaign. Doesn't it? Because she has used her influence and input to get people removed from positions, took off panels. You know, So Anita Sarkeesian is the original Gamergator, according to Will Sommer. That's the logic. But they can't apply it. Neither side can apply logic anymore. They can't do it. Daily Dot once again, it's a fucking absolute shit rag. Fuck me. What a fucking garbage publication. I hope it goes bust. And all my former co-workers are begging on the fucking streets. Right? Honestly, it's a disgrace. Look at this. Daily Dot. Disney appeased the alt-right by firing James Gunn. Now. Here's why that's a big problem. Why are they appeasing the alt-right? Why can't it just be that Mike Cernovich, for all of his faults and all the crazy shit he said in the past, why does it matter who's noticed these tweets? Let's imagine a world where, I don't know, let's say a Republican tweets something out like this. Let's say Ben Shapiro tweeted out something like this. Let's say Jordan Peterson, wrongly associated and vilified as alt-right, had posted something like this. These same publications would be absolutely going nuts, calling for them to be deplatformed from everything. Like, it just wouldn't even be up for debate. That would be it. That would be the end of it. Patrick Klepek, that we brought up earlier, look at this for rampant, fucking wanton hypocrisy. You're not even ready. It's going to blow all your mind. It's going to blow your mind. Guys, prepare for this. I'm not even kidding. This is like showing you a fucking gore movie or something. It is so mind-blowingly disconnected from who Patrick Klepek is as a person. I think it's going to create a rift in reality when I fucking read it out. So are you ready, Sam? You ready to display Patrick Klepek's tweet? Here it is. James Gunn said awful, disgusting things. 2, we need to give people space to grow and learn from their past. Right. You write for Waypoint. You have wrote so many hit pieces. You are responsible for publishing so many hit pieces for people that have politics you don't like. When a game tried to be historically accurate, you, Patrick Klepek, you said we cannot review this game. It's too racist. It's alt-right. You refuse to review Kingdom Come Deliverance. Where's the let's give people space to grow? Why not make an intelligent argument about how, look, it would just be great if, even at the expense of historical accuracy, you could include some black people. But hey, you know what? Great game, well done. One of the best Kickstarter games of all time. Why couldn't you do that? Why can't you help with growth when it's people? You can't do it, can you, Patrick? And you have actually gone on Twitter and tweeted that. Your brain is so broken, you don't realize that you're the cunt that nails everyone to the cross for the shit they've said. It is unreal. It is unfucking believable. And then, right, I mean, I won't bring up the fucking cyber Nazis because Batista's still going on about fucking cyber Nazis. But, I know, mate, it's the cyber Nazis that are doing it, right? But in a now altered article, Yahoo.com, right, they went one better than the Daily Dot. I mean, Yahoo.com, another fucking absolute tawdry piece of shit publication that should just be flushed down the fucking toilet.
As if Yahoo.com is still trying to fucking pump shit out on news, mate. Come on.
Yeah, well, it's over at their, I think it's called Inverse, their like nerd culture vertical. Look at the headline there. They've changed it now, of course. White supremacists work to get Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn fired. Where are the Nazis and the white supremacists? Why can't it just be, right, you have hauled us over the coals on Twitter for making jokes. You can't say this. It's not woke enough. You can't do this. It's not woke enough. And now somebody has decided to push back. And again, I can say I wish it wasn't like this, but you did make it like this. And it's not white supremacists and Nazis. Some people don't like jokes about pedophilia, same way you don't like jokes about race. That's how it is. This is the world you built. Yes, it can work against you. Go figure. And, okay, in classic fashion, James Gunn, who's getting all this defense, right? He did put out a statement saying, I used to be a provocateur. I've apologized. I'm really sorry. These jokes aren't funny, and etc. Well, when Rose Sambar had her show pulled, what do you think James Gunn had to say about it, mate? Do you think he did a Jessica Price? Do you think he did a Jessica Price and justified his own firing in the future? Yeah, he absolutely did. James Gunn, I wish some of these so-called defenders of liberty would start to understand what freedom of speech is and isn't. Roseanne is allowed to say whatever she wants. It doesn't mean the ABC network needs to continue funding her TV show if her words are considered abhorrent. Congrats, James Gunn. Think about that when you're picking up your fucking doll check, you stupid cunt. Another L. Another L. And I'll tell you where they get this shit from, by the way, just while we wrap up the fucking show. Because there was loads of other stuff I wanted to get into, but my pacing was off because we haven't done one for a while. There's one comic that is to fucking blame, right? There is one comic that is to fucking blame. And it's that, what's it called? The KXCD comic. Do you know which one I mean?
Idea, but
No, I'll find it for you. I'll find it for
the
you.
only one I know on the internet is Cyanide and Happiness, mate.
Right, let me get it for you. Hang on.
XKCD, writing in the chat.
Yeah, that's XKCD, sorry. Right? It's the worst. I loathe this comic. I loathe it, right? I mean, apart from the fact that, like, it's the most pandering, pathetic... Like, this is like the layperson's attempt to shut down very complex and nuanced discussion about free speech issues. And it is one of the most quoted comics. Basically, brain-dead cunts spam this in lieu of having an opinion. Sort of like with the Karl Popper thing. Like when they want to justify shutting down Nazis, wink, wink. They go, oh, look at Karl Popper. We cannot be tolerant of the intolerant. Actually, if you read more into Karl Popper, he said, using state apparatus to enforce that position would be an abomination, a complete anathema. He would never justify doing that. But of course, they don't read that far. They read the little part of what is a philosophical exercise and then just espouse it whole cloth as if it solves all the issues. But this comic here is the famous one. We've all seen it, yeah, right? If you're yelled at, boycotted, have your show cancelled or get banned from an internet community, your free speech rights aren't being violated. It's just that the people listening think you're an asshole and they're showing you the door. This comic is a cancer because it's like planted this idea that actually, when the mob comes and tries to take everything away from you because they find your speech distasteful, it's fair game. And you're not shielded by the First Amendment or anything else, and you shouldn't be because you're probably an arsehole. It is cancer. And I see kids putting this out there, and they don't realise 5 years from now when you're on the job market, and it's totally fine for companies to go through your Facebook page, your Twitter account, you know, whatever you fucking got, and use it to justify firing you. Or if you get a good job and they find something, they can use it to justify firing you. This is their argument. And you buy this because you think there's like all these like bad meanies out there. No, everyone gets fucked by this. It's nonsense. It's gibberish. Right. So we're going to wrap up the show, Sam. But before we do, because there was loads of other stuff I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about how, you know, the same publications that are going after, defending James Gunn went after James Rolfe when he said he didn't want to review Ghostbusters. I want to talk about how Dan Harmon, creator of Rick and Morty, has just deleted his Twitter account because a 10-year-old video of a sort of unofficial comedy sketch he did where he pretends to rape a baby has been circulated, and Polygon are blaming that on Nazis too. We'll have to talk about that another day, maybe when we're in the big room, the studio. But before we go that, Sam, I've got to ask a really important question. What the fuck is going on with Roblox?
The game Roblox or whatever.
Yeah.
The fuck. I don't know, mate. I've never played it, but I have seen some weird shit.
Right. people are wilding out who play that game. I thought it was just a fucking game for kids, right? And that would just be 6-year-olds and squeakers. But it's crazy, and I can't tell if this is the media making shit up, right? Or if and it's a justified outrage, or if Roblox is just mental. Yeah, it could be getting Daily Mailed, right? So this happened at the start of the month. Roblox gang rape shocks mother, right? And it was that she was watching the game, and the child's character in the game was being gang raped by other players. I don't even know how this works or what that would look like in a game of Roblox. I don't understand.
Does she mean literally though, or is there just a big group of people around them and she's being confused?
No, like as in, apparently it says here the screenshots had like blocky genitals.
Oh.
I don't even know how you would make this in a game, so they made cuboid dicks or something. And she said, like, you know, you delete this app. It's not safe. It's not safe for your kids. You know,
everyone delete Roblox. It ain't safe.
Yeah, hide your kids, hide your wife. They're raping everyone up in here. That's like what this is pretty much the sentiment that this mother said. And listen, again, I can't believe that there's anything like that going on, but I would say this: I would definitely think Roblox should be policed, because obviously it's got a much younger audience, and I bet there are some fucking awful pieces of shit playing that game, trying to get up to all sorts of stuff. But I couldn't believe this story. But then The Sun, they just went one better, mate. Now, trigger warning: you are about to see some swastikas.
You're gonna say you're about to see some robot dick or something, some pixels.
No, because we couldn't show that on Twitch, because Twitch has become such an infantile platform. Even this is probably too edgy enough. But The Sun, following that rape story, did an investigation into Roblox, right? And right, and here's
wilding out, mate. What's been going on?
And here's what they said, right? Here's what they said. The Sun described Roblox as pure evil. Roblox kids game haven for jihadi, Nazi, and KKK roleplay featuring Twin Tower bombings and race hate murders. What's going on in Roblox, Sam? What is going on in Roblox?
Mate, they've got full like Third Reich buildings. Look at that, mate.
Yeah. Who's doing this? Like, who's playing this? Look, you can see here, The Sun found gamers role-playing as Ku Klux Klan members. Like, they've got little hoods on, Sam. Why is that in the game?
Some of these are fucking outrageous, man.
Why is that in the game?
God, what the fuck? Mate, look at the one they say you've recreated the World Tower attack. Look at the skin they've given it, mate. Why are the eyes like that, but?
I don't know, mate.
Why are the eyes
it's unreasonable,
like
isn't it?
That, Why
I think it's fair to characterize jihadis as crazy. I think that's fair. To give jihadis crazy eyes.
Why are they so close together? The eyeballs ain't supposed to touch at any point, man.
How is this going on in a kid's game?
Fucking.
How is this going on in a kid's game? You know, I remember the days like Habbo Hotel and that, mate. What's that?
You gotta make Roblox great again. Fucking hell, the street shit, mate. This street brothels in Roblox.
Oh, yeah. Don't show that.
Too late, man. Scroll past that quickly.
Yep. Right, well.
If blurred out Lego porn gets us banned, mate, Twitch is far gone. I can't be bannable, man.
But it's insane. It's literally insane. I had no idea. So I don't even know what to say about that first story, because within the context of this Sun's investigation, Roblox is wilding the fuck out. Needs to be shut down for the good of society, I think.
Shut it down.
Get it fucking shut down. So there you go. So, again, I might have to conduct my own investigation. Are they lying about Roblox? Are they lying to us? You can't trust anything. But I thought it was fucking crazy out of all the games that was one. But look, so we'll wrap up the show there, I think. So it's good to be back. We're going to be doing a proper show once we get the studio built, which will be me and Sam sat around a table. But we'll be trying to do more regular shows, you know, maybe get back to the daily show while Sam's out here for a while until I train Maria to be a replacement producer. But there you have it. So we'll get into all the other stuff on another episode. Thanks to everybody that tuned in, donated, subscribed, all of that stuff. Really appreciate the support. We'll get back at you with some more content stuff. You know, follow the Twitter for updates. But for now, go to bed. Don't play Roblox. And we'll see you next time. Take care.